Today, I'm going to be going over call campaigns in Google Ads, otherwise known as Google Ads call only campaigns. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started by going over here to goals and conversions, and we're going to go to summary. Now, if you're not familiar with call only ads, they are really set up for businesses that their main key performance indicator, the main thing they're trying to drive, are phone calls. So they're very common for service-based businesses, and what they do is they show up on mobile devices. So if somebody's searching on their mobile device, for example, I search on my mobile device, plumber near me, and a call only ad comes up. I click on that call only ad. I am going to call the business directly, and that business is an advertiser and they are paying for that click. So basically every single click leads to a direct phone call. So that is what a call only ad is, and you can actually create search campaigns where you target keywords. It's only going to be on mobile devices where it just shows a phone number and basically a clickable mobile ad where people can call your business directly. So we're going to see this summary here. We're going to click on new conversion action. So goals, conversions, new conversion action, and we're going to select phone calls from this list. And what we want to do is we want to click on calls from ads using call extensions or call only ads. So the other two options here, calls to a phone number on your website or clicks on your number on your mobile website, are two different things that I went over in this video here. Google Ads phone call conversion tracking 2023, track phone calls from your website. I will link this video in the video description in case you want to learn how to, if somebody does click through to your website and then ends up calling you after they click through to your website, how to track those as conversions. So we're going to select phone calls here, click on continue, and now we are going to create our conversion action. So conversion name, generally what I will do is do call assets or call only ads. So basically I know that these phone calls either came from call extensions, call assets. They're basically the same exact thing. They updated the name to assets pretty much everywhere except for when we are creating these conversion actions. So I will go over call assets a little bit at the very end of this video, and I'm going to have a separate video coming out about call assets as well. So what we're going to do is our goal and action optimization, phone call leads, primary action, leave that as is. Name your conversion name, whatever you want to, and then value here, we're going to select 1 to use the same value for each conversion. And then what we're going to do is, because these are considered leads and not sales, we are going to count 1. What this means is if somebody clicks on our ad multiple times, calls us multiple times, it doesn't make sense to count that one customer as multiple conversions because they're still one customer. So this is common when you're trying to drive leads. If you have the same person that ends up filling out a form twice and there's 2 different conversions, you'd rather that just be one conversion because it's one customer. So that's why we're going to select 1 in this case here. Continue coming down, and now you basically have 3 options down here at the bottom. Attribution, I would recommend using the data-driven attribution model. That basically gives clicks different credit throughout each ad interaction. So if you're running a lot of ads, you definitely want to be using data-driven. I use data-driven all the time for my conversions now. The other option is last click, but I just recommend using the data-driven attribution model. Next is going to be the call length. So basically, if you know that the minimum call length for somebody to actually call your business and become a new customer is going to be a minimum of 2 minutes, let's say, what you can do is set your call length here to 120 seconds. That means if someone's calling and you have a quick short phone call, they're not interested in services, or it's just not in their budget or whatever it may be, then you hang up the phone quickly and it doesn't count as a conversion. If you know that you are most likely going to be on the phone with somebody for a longer period of time before they actually become a customer, then you may want to set this to a larger number. Sometimes I will set this around 90 seconds, so just go 1.5 minutes. There may be some that aren't actually converting into customers, so that's where you want to use your data over time. If you're getting a lot of phone calls and you're getting a lot of short phone calls and then some long phone calls, just look at, okay, generally it's going to take at least 3 minutes, 4 minutes before this person turns into a customer, so you can always increase that call length over time. The click-through conversion window says select how much time after someone interacts with an ad you want to use to count conversions. Now, one of the interesting things with call-only ads is they are calling your business directly, so the click-through conversion window, to me, isn't as important in this case. Sometimes I'll set these a little bit lower, a little bit longer. I'm just going to leave this at 30 days, so we're just going to not even change the click-through conversion window. So we're going to click on Create and Continue to create our new conversion action. Okay, so a few things, important next steps. Make sure your call extension or call ad uses a call forwarding number or a Google forwarding number. Make sure your phone call conversion is active and recording conversions. Now, things to note, it is an account default goal. That means this action will be optimized for and reported in the conversions column by default. So you can always change that if you don't want your phone call lead to be a a account default goal. You can make it a secondary goal if you're really focused on some other type of conversion. So let's click on done and let's get started with creating our call only campaign. We're going to come back over to the campaign screen, and we're going to click on new campaign here, and we're going to create a new campaign. Now, when I'm creating a call only ad, I generally count this as leads. I mean, if you are driving sales through a phone call, you can choose sales here as well, but I generally just use leads because these are much more common as if you're creating ads for some type of service business or something like that where phone calls lead to customers. So we're going to take conversion goals out and remove the outbound clicks goal. We're just going to focus on our phone call leads here, remove the other goal, and remove the qualified leads goal. Okay, so we have phone call leads, and we're going to click on continue. And now what we want to do for our campaign type is going to be search. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the ways we'd like to reach our goal, and it's going to be phone calls. And now we have to enter our phone number. So one of the things that you want to do is make sure you have your phone number on your website. This is not a real phone number. This is not a real offer. I'm just doing this to show you an example today. But what we want to do is we're going to take our phone number here, copy it, come right back over here, and paste our phone number. Okay, so we have our phone number. You can see the example here. We have our phone number, set your country, and next we are going to create our campaign name. And let's just say, for example, we're doing Montessori Schools call only ads. Okay, so we're going to click on continue. Okay, so now bidding, what do we want to focus on? We want to focus on conversions, and what I'm going to do is just set conversions here. You can set a target cost per action if you want, but in this case, we're just going to use the maximize conversions bidding strategy, and we can always switch to a target cost per action over time. Target cost per action means that you can set how much you want to pay for each conversion. So if a phone call for your business is worth $100, then you obviously want your target CPA to be lower than $100 and as low as possible, so you're actually making the most revenue possible for every single phone call. I'm just going to focus on conversions, and we're going to click on next. So now what we're going to do is under our campaign settings, network is going to be the search network, and we're going to include Google search partners. We're going to come down here, and next is going to be the locations you want to target. This is where you want to set the actual locations for whatever areas that you serve. So if, for example, you say, okay, I am serving the greater Nashville area. You search Nashville here. You could either target the Nielsen DMA region or just the city of Nashville. The Nielsen DMA region is generally a much larger area that includes the entire Nashville market, whereas Nashville, Tennessee, the city, is just going to be the city limits. So you can see the reach expands slightly, but what you could do is just say, okay, we're just going to target Nashville, and if you look at the map, you can see the area here. So just to show you the difference between two different areas, if you're targeting a Nielsen DMA region, you'll see it is a much, much larger area. So a lot of times you may just want to target that city area because if you have a small business within the city, you may not be driving hours out of the way to get to all these other areas. So we're going to choose, for my case, I'm just going to choose United States. What I'm going to be pretending to actually promote today, this is not a real offer again, is let's just pretend like, so my website is geared around toys, educational, development, things like that. So Montessori toys here, let's just say I'm someone who connects parents and their kids basically with other Montessori schools. So I have some massive directory of Montessori schools I work with. This is just what we're going to pretend today. So we can work with you, place your child into the best Montessori school, yada, yada, yada. It's not a real offer, so we're just going to select United States. Next, you want to select your language targeting, so I'm just going to select English for this. Audience segments, so you can add audience segments to your campaign. I generally don't do this for call-only ads, but you can observe how specific audiences are actually performing. So one of the things you can do is actually look for audiences that are going to be relevant for your offer. So in this, one of the things I could do potentially is say, let's just search preschool. And what you're going to see is in market for childcare, in market for childcare and education, in market for educational resources, primary and secondary schools. So I could potentially choose some of these different audiences here and see if they perform a little bit better. In this case, I generally wouldn't do that, but for a search campaign, it's much more popular to include audience segments in addition to your data segments. So anybody who's visited your website, people who have watched any of your YouTube videos. So you can add some of these different segments, and it just helps understand that, okay, these audiences are a little more targeted to my actual offers, so they're going to be more likely to convert most likely, and we can observe how they're performing and then increase bids for specific audiences if they are outperforming our regular campaign performance. Now, broad match keywords, one of the things you can do is use broad match keywords for your entire campaign. For a call-only ad, I tend to keep things much more tight and targeted because I really want to focus on the people that are actually searching the most relevant keywords to whatever it is that I'm offering. So we will say off. We're going to use keyword match types. More settings, nothing really to change down here except for ad schedule. So you may say, okay, we only answer the phone Mondays through Fridays, and we'll say from 7:30 a.m. until 7 p.m. or something like that. So you want to just go all the way down here. Okay, so 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. So let's just say that's when I do answer the phone calls. So our ads are only going to run during that time. Now, this is going to be based on your account time zone. I am in the Eastern time zone, so this is 7:30 a.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. So that would be my ad schedule. So that's definitely something you want to do. Unless you have a call center where you can answer phone calls 24 hours a day, you definitely want to set up an ad schedule for this campaign type. The other, under more settings, not really much you can want to change here. Start and end dates, you may want to set a start date and an end date if you want this to only run during a specific time period. So we're going to click on next, and now we're going to start creating our ad groups. Now let's just say, for example, what I'm trying to advertise are Montessori schools. So we'll just do this and click on Get Keyword Suggestions. Okay, and you'll see all of these different keywords here. Now, generally what I would recommend doing is splitting a lot of these keywords out into separate ad groups. The one thing that we can do is something like Montessori schools near me, Montessori near me, Montessori preschool, Montessori academy, daycare. We can take all of these different keywords and put them in the same ad group just for this example. And for call-only ads, since all of these keywords have very, very similar meaning, we could basically just target all of these phrase match keywords, and we will... Okay, so we have a bunch of phrase match keywords here. Now they're going to say upgrade your keywords to broad match. In the case of call-only ads, I would much rather keep my ads as relevant as possible, so I want the keywords that I'm targeting to be as relevant as possible to the search terms. So if somebody's searching for Montessori toys, or, what are some ways to incorporate Montessori schooling at home, those are keywords that I just don't want to target. So we're definitely want to have a tight negative keyword strategy as well. But we have our keywords here. It's going to say upgrade your keywords to broad match. For this case, I don't think it's an upgrade. For large budget advertisers trying to drive leads and actually sending traffic to their website, that's where I would be more likely to use broad match, or advertisers trying to drive sales as well, just doing a little bit more testing. That's what broad match is good for, is getting you access to more searches and giving you more volume that you can actually test with. But in this case, if we're paying, let's say, $5 a phone call, I don't want to be doing that for irrelevant search terms and people that are not going to be potential customers. So add more keywords, show your ads more often. We're just not going to do that for right now. It's going to pull up our phone number here. Now, one of the main things I want to show you here is your verification URL. Now, the reason why it's not that important to separate all of these keywords out is what we can do is that our ad is just going to look like this. So phone number, business name, headline 1, description line 1, description line 2. So we can always separate some of these keywords into their own ad group and just say, okay, let's focus on these 4 keywords and the preschool keyword in one ad group. Then Montessori daycare, we will do a separate ad group for those keywords. Montessori academy, we'll do a separate ad group for that keyword, and then find more keywords and continue creating separate ad groups so that we can make our ads even more relevant. In this case, we should be able to create a pretty relevant ad, and what we can do is, first and foremost, our final URL. So what you want to do is send people to a helpful landing page where they can take the next step with your business. Now, when it comes to call ads, you do not have to add a final URL, but it is recommended. So somebody can click through to your final URL. Instead of just clicking on your call directly and calling you directly, you can send them to a final URL. The main thing I would focus on, making sure that your number is prominent on that final URL, because we can use it here for the final URL and for the verification URL. So what Google Ads can actually do is look at our verification URL and make sure that our phone number here matches the phone number on our website. So you want to make sure that those phone numbers match, because Google is going to make sure that they can actually verify your phone number. So we're going to come back over here. Again, final URL is not a requirement, and you do want to create a better landing page than me. This is really just set up as an example. So now we're going to scroll down here, display path. So what we could do is just put something like Montessori schools. So we could do something along that line. Headline 1, find the best. Let's see if this fits. Okay, so we have best Montessori schools for headline 1. And the other one, what we can do is maybe something like Montessori schools for your... Okay, so best Montessori schools and Montessori schools near you. Now, this is where we may say, okay, maybe it makes more sense to actually split these keywords out into separate ad groups. We could always do that after our campaign is launched. So for right now, we'll just keep this as is. So we have our display path. We have our headline 1, our headline 2, our business name. So we're just going to enter our business name here. Description line 1, description line 2. So we will use those. Okay, our 2 description lines. Now maybe I don't want to use for your child in both of these, but call Brickpop today. We will find the best Montessori school for your child, discover the best Montessori schools for your child, and get them into the best school. So something along that line for the 2 description lines. I generally like to do call whatever company it is today, call us today, give us a call, things like that, just to kind of use that call to action. So let's keep scrolling down here. Call reporting is turned on, and our conversion action, we're going to come to the drop down here. You can see there are a few different options here. So account settings is calls from ads. There's also just a standard calls from ads conversion action. So you don't necessarily need to create your own conversion action. I prefer to create my own conversion action. I want to show you that, but it's not a requirement. If we do our call assets or call only ads, that is the conversion action we created in the very first step. So now what we can do is click on done. We have our call ad here. We can create another call ad if we want to. I would recommend you might as well create 2 call ads. If you're planning on spending a lot of money on this campaign, it only helps to just make sure that you're actually testing multiple advertisements against each other. For this example, I'm just going to create 1 call ad, but I would recommend creating 2. And now what we're going to do is scroll down to the bottom and click on next. Okay, set your average daily budget for this campaign. Let's just say I want to spend $100 a day for this campaign and click on next. Okay, so my weekly estimates are based on my keywords and my daily budget. So with my ad group 1, got to rename my ad group, but it says weekly conversion 60, weekly cost 700, average cost per action is going to be $11.62. So those are just estimates and not the actual performance we're going to get. Campaign name, so Montessori Schools call only ads. Search campaign, objective is leads. Phone call leads as our goal. Bidding is going to be maximize conversions. And as we come down here, you can see we have our ad schedule set, our network. These call only ads only run on the Google Search Network and on Search Partners. So we are going to publish our campaign. So now we have a call only campaign set in our Google Ads account. Now what we want to do is we have our campaign here, so we can come over to our campaigns and go to our ad groups for our campaigns. First, we will rename this ad group and we will just say Montessori Schools. And then what we can do is we can add a new ad group, and this is what I would recommend doing, is creating a brand new ad group and making sure that you actually segment your keywords by theme so that you can create more relevant advertisements. So for ad group number 2, we could do something, let's just search Montessori Schools again and see what keyword suggestions we get that we're not already targeting. Okay, maybe we want to focus this completely on Montessori Kindergarten. So we'll say Montessori Kindergarten near me, and we can do, maybe what we can do here is just searching Montessori Kindergarten. And keep in mind, a lot of people that are searching on their phone, if you're going to search the keyword Montessori Kindergarten, we could also make this an exact match type, use both of these as exact match keywords to make it very targeted. If you want to do a little more testing, use phrase match keywords. If you really want to test, use broad match keywords. So broad match gives you access to the most overall search volume, but it also, you lose a little bit of relevancy with the keywords you're actually targeting. So we could target these 2 keywords for this example. Our ad group 2, we will name Montessori Kindergarten, and we will scroll down and click on save and continue. And now what we can do is actually create ads that are more geared towards those specific keywords that we're targeting. So Montessori Kindergarten near me, Montessori Kindergarten. So we could say, just use very similar ads. Okay, so I think you kind of get the idea here. We're going to skip the ad creation process, but create a new ad and click on save and continue. And now we'll have a new ad group here. So that's one of the things you definitely want to do. Let's just stay here. Okay, so that's one of the things you definitely want to do is making sure that you have your ads filled out in all of your different ad groups. Make sure you are putting your ad groups together by theme. So even if I go in here to Montessori Schools, I would probably separate Montessori Daycare, Montessori Preschool, Montessori Academy into completely separate ad groups. And then this would be Montessori near me, Montessori Schools near me, and Montessori Schools pretty much. So I would put preschool, daycare, and academy in their own ad groups because it's just going to help me basically look at my overall performance a little bit better. Not necessarily a requirement. The main benefit you're getting from it is that your ads can be a little bit more relevant. And if you do have multiple landing pages where one of your landing pages is more about Montessori daycares, one is about Montessori preschool, benefits of Montessori preschool for your child and how to find the best one, then you want to make sure that you are creating separate ad groups because you actually have good landing pages for all of these different ad groups you're creating. So let's come back over here to our search campaign. The last couple things I want to go over. First and foremost, if we come back over to all of our campaigns and we open up our existing search campaign, one of the things you can do is instead of running call-only ads, you can create call assets that will show with your current campaigns on your current advertisements. Now, they're not always guaranteed to show your call assets, but if you are running ads and people are searching on desktop and on mobile, then you are going to be able to actually drive people directly to your website. So one of the things you may want to do is more just focus on driving people directly to your website and just not creating call-only campaigns altogether. Generally, I don't recommend creating call-only campaigns for most businesses. There are certain businesses where it is better just to do a call-only campaign, not worry about the website at all, and just focus on phone calls. I've had this in the past with a landscaping company that really didn't have the greatest website, and all they wanted was phone calls. They were just focused on, we want phone calls. It was getting towards their busy season, and they wanted to spend $5,000 to drive more phone calls. So we did call-only ads, and they worked pretty well for them. So what we could do down here is create in an existing search campaign is create our call asset directly from that search campaign. Enter our phone number here. So just take our fake phone number that we have here, copy it, and paste it right here. So we have this added to either the campaign level. So you can do the ad group level if you actually have specific ad groups that you want to add this to, and then other ad groups that are going to be more towards, for my example, where I'm actually sending people to pages with products for sale, I may say, I don't want any call assets for this specific ad group for my Montessori Busy Boards ad group. I just want people to come to this website and purchase something from me. But for my ad groups where I'm trying to get people to actually sign up for some type of Montessori preschool, whatever this fake service that I'm offering is, then what I can do is set these at the ad group level. Generally, I would do this at the campaign level and create separate campaigns because the goals would be completely separate for a campaign that's trying to drive actual sales versus a campaign that's trying to drive leads. So we are going to add this to our campaign, create a new asset. You can use existing assets if you've already created them. Conversion action, we want to use the conversion action we created. Call interaction bid adjustment. Okay, so what we can do is either increase or decrease our bid amount. And if we just say, for example, we want to increase by 50%. So what this basically means is that we can increase or decrease our bids for certain targeting methods such as locations or device. If you know that there's a specific location where you want to get calls from or a specific location that is just much more valuable to you, then you can always try to use the advanced bid adjustments page. So that's just another page after you launch your campaign to actually increase your bids if somebody is in a certain location. Or if you're saying if somebody is on their mobile device, then I want to make sure that I'm bidding 100% higher because I'm trying to drive phone calls. I generally don't use this too often, so it's not something that I'm going to use that often. If I am saying, my main goal is phone calls, then what we can do is always increase this, and then it makes it more likely that we're going to get an actual call interaction from our call asset. So you can choose that there. That's another option. Now, advanced options, ad schedule. Generally, I set schedules unless you have, again, a 24-hour call center. So just set your schedule here. We'll just leave this as all days for now. Just don't even need to set our ad schedule. But you'll see on desktop, there is a phone number down here where people can easily call us. Or this is mobile here, but people can click that phone number. And if we come back over to desktop, you'll see the phone number at the very top here. So this is a mobile advertisement. Call shows up at the very bottom. People can click on this and call your business directly. Or what we can do is from desktop, shows that phone number. If people do type this phone number in, one of the things that Google is going to use is call forwarding. So they're going to change this phone number. So if somebody does actually type in our phone number, then what it's going to do is be able to track the phone number that they typed in and know that, okay, they saw this advertisement and that's why they called this phone number, so we can actually tie it back to your ad campaign. So that is the other option we have here as far as call assets. You can add them to your existing campaigns. So if you do have an existing search campaign, you can just use call assets and just skip the call only ads altogether. But if you do want to run your call only ads as well, then you can always set up that campaign. It's going to be a mobile only campaign. So just keep that in mind when you do launch it. But coming back over here, so now we have our campaign completely launched. Got to make sure I actually pause my ads so I don't start running these campaigns and start spending some money on something I don't want to spend money on. But what you're going to see is we are going to try to maximize conversions. These clicks can be fairly expensive for call-only ads, so just keep that in mind. One of the things that you can do if you want to try to control your costs a little bit, it may keep you out of certain auctions, but you can use a portfolio bid strategy for your campaign. So if you come over here to tools, budgets and bidding, and going to bid strategies, We can come up to the very top here. We actually have a target CPA for $2. Now, this is probably way too low for what we're actually doing, but what you can do is within your actual bid strategy is come down here to settings, and then under advanced options, you can actually set a maximum bid limit. So I did this in a previous example, and you can say, you know what, I don't want to spend more than $6 for a single phone call. Again, you can always remove this maximum bid limit, or you can always increase it over time. So don't worry if you do use a maximum bid limit. It may just keep you out of certain auctions if it is a little bit more competitive. So those are Google Call Only ads, how to create them, some best practices, how to create conversion goals to go along with your Google Call Only ads campaigns, the importance of making sure that you have good landing pages. Now, this isn't the best landing page, but with your phone number on it where people can easily contact you, I would probably do a landing page here, definitely being way more descriptive over, we place your child in the correct Montessori school. We work with thousands of Montessori schools around the country, and what we'll do is we will work with you to get them in the correct school based on your location, based on your budget. So definitely try to explain that a little bit better in the headline of my landing page, making sure people can call me easily. I'd put a contact form here, some testimonials, maybe potentially a video of how the process works. So some different things like that to help educate people who do click through to my landing page. But what we want to do is try to drive more phone calls from call-only ads on mobile devices. So this would be the way to do it. If you have any questions about any of this, please leave them in the comment section. Thanks for watching my video today, and make sure you subscribe to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel.